Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Karthik.
Hi,
Yeah,
Karthik.
hi.
Morning.
Hello
Hello,
everyone. Good
Karthik.
morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, any questions from the previous class? Whatever we have discussed so far yesterday.
No.
Then I think we can continue. So now today, I think MDG master data challenges we have already seen about the MDG solution as well. Now we'll see the key capabilities of MDG, standard MDG domains, and the architecture, workflow process, and data storage and replication options. Again, this is the quick overview. Like these are the various terminals where the master data is generated and it is coming into your production system. If the huge amount of master data is available in your system, there would be definitely an issue with the quality of the data. A duplicate set of data would be there. So for that, these are the high level departments who will get suffered if the data is inconsistent, inaccurate, or not qualified. This will obviously reduce the sales effectiveness of the business, and suboptimal procurement decisions would get affected. Delayed go-to-market decisions, ineffective business decisions. So as we discussed, any business decision is going to be based on the master data that is there in the system. So it works with 80-20 principle. If the data is 80% accurate, still the business decisions will go ahead. If 80% margin is not met, then they will hold the decisions. They cannot take it. So let's understand the master data definition given by SAP. SAP MDG is a state-of-the-art master data management solution, providing out-of-the-box domain-specific master data governance to centrally create, change, and distribute master data of your complete enterprise system landscape. So when I read this statement, it was like, the three-idiot statement, what is the definition of machine? The same thing I could recall. But if we split the definition into multiple parts, then I think we can understand this. Again, before going here, I'll just come back to the previous discussion. So here, the requester is maintaining the master data and which is saved somewhere in staging area, because the data which user is given is not yet approved. It has to go through an approval process. This data, the requested data, is inactive data or unapproved data. This cannot be used in a operational systems for any transactions. This is kind of a temporary data which has to be staged somewhere in temporary area. That area is known as staging area. Taking the staging area as a reference, the data would go through an approval process. So in the process of approval, there is some external data services and integration is happening over here. And here, apart from as integration is optional over here. You may or you may not. You do have some of the data quality checks, duplicate checks, data enrichment activities that you can build in within MDG framework without integrating. Now, the moment that you approve the master data, the master data would get replicated to your operational systems. So here we have a concept of approval workflow. Change request approval process is nothing but governance. And obviously, if master data solution come up with standard SAP master data solution come up with 100 attributes, but your master table has maybe 120 attributes. Let's say data model is delivering 100 attributes from Mara table, but you have additional 20 fields as a custom fields in your Mara table according to your business. Now you want to govern the additional 20 field also. So there is a concept called enhancement. A standard data model enhancement feature is also available. And most of the logic, as it is tightly integrated with MDG is tightly integrated with SAP ABAP Workbench, most of the existing BADI logic or the BAPIs or the business configurations would be automatically read by MDG framework. Now let's go back and understand the definition. So SAP MDG is the state of the art of master data management solution, providing out of the box. When I say out of the box, your MDG comes with a box which has MM, which has BP, which has finance as an solutions in a MDG suite. Now, according to your business, if you want to implement a business partner, then you will activate the business partner from out of the box so that this business partner domain is available for the users. Similarly, you bring data model out of the box, which gives a UI, a database, and the configurations which are specific to data model for the end users. Basically, out of the box is nothing but you are activating the functions to enable a functionality, which is not by default activated. This is delivered to you, but to activate them, you require an additional set of functions, additional set of license, and additional purchase. So each data model as of now in 8.0 version, if you are implementing BP data model, to activate this BP sets, the license purchasing cost is almost 6 crore rupees. The finance data model is 8 crore rupees. I did not come across with how much it will cost for data model, but I think it would fall somewhere near to 5 to 6 lakhs, or maybe 4 to 6 crores, because the data model scope is less. Somewhere I think it would be starting between 4 to 6. Now, what is here again, if we understand the domain specific master data governance. So if you are in a pharmaceutical company, you will most probably dealing with more materials and more customers, but suppliers would be less suppliers, and finance is all obviously there in any customs, I mean, in any MDG solution. If you are a kind of a SaaS company, service-based company, maybe like an industry software solutions like Infosys, Wipro, some guys who works on some technology services, they would not have material. Maybe VMware, Cisco, all these companies, they'll not have more something related to material. They have more something related to supplier, more customers, and finance. Obviously, it will be there. So it is no guarantee like if you are put into a project, you will work in all kind of master data domains. You may or you may not. But definitely a BP is a most often used functionality in any MDG project. So this domain specific master data governance allows you to centrally create, change and distribute the master data for your complete enterprise system landscape. So you create, you modify, you delete, and you distribute the master data from MDG to any third party systems. This is the definition of master data governance. Now, as we saw, there is a governance in the process overview. We know what is a governance. We also know what is an integration when it was integrating with any third party services. We also know that it is trying to reuse the existing BAPIs and existing BADI business configurations which are part of your ECC. We also know that there is a data quality activity that happens in the process of validation. The duplicate checks, the data enrichments, all these categories would come under data quality. We also know that the standard data model allows you for the further enhancements which are not delivered by SAP. So that is how it is flexible to enhance your own master data. Open to extend the standard data model solutions. And the consistent data. So what does this consistent data mean? So let's say there is a user who missed some bank information data, who missed some bank info, sorry, who only provided address information, but no bank information. And there is one more user who entered bank information and a limited address information. bank is accurate and inaccurate address information. No matter whatever the data that are maintained by the users, when it comes to validation, after completion of this validation, you will have consistent address data, you will have consistent business partner, sorry, bank data. That is what the job of this supervisor or a specialist, to validate each and every attribute of your master data. So no matter if requesters are missing any data, the outcome of a validation is always being consistent. And obviously when it goes for an approval, the consistent definition of your master data would be delivered, uh, which has an authorization and replication of the master data entity. So obviously approver has an authorization to approve the master data, and the moment that he approves, it will automatically replicate that master data. So here, as a process of validation, eliminates the error-prone manual maintenance of process of master data in multiple systems. So what it happens? Just a moment, guys. Yeah. So once the consistent data is available in MDG, it is automatically replicating the data to multiple systems. US, UK, and India systems. If this is not the case, if users would have create the master data manually in US or UK or India individually by the individual end users, there is a problem where the data would not be consistent. I sure if I tell you an address, I have 10 participants as of now in the call. If I tell you an address to have an to make a note on that, I'll definitely see out of 10 people I'll get 5 different addresses. The reason, each person has its own understanding how an address would be created. Let's say if I ask someone to create a John Deere Private Limited, someone would write this way, and someone would write actually the two addresses are same. Someone will use a space and someone will use a shortcut. So obviously I'll get different addresses. Actually, both of these address refers to the same, but technically these two are not same. Because of the gaps that you have, it will create a new address number, it will create a new address number. So in this process, he might reach out to a wrong address. Users might reach out to a wrong address when they are doing any orders related to a specific person. Here, now in MDG, it is only one address. With an approval process, you have only one address, and this address is going to be replicated to all the systems. So there is a consistent definition. And these are the 6 capabilities, and these are the highlights of MDG, which is making, again, a eye-catching point for the customers to implement. Any questions? Okay. So again, These things, master data governance for finance data, material data, supplier and customer data, and custom objects data. We have three out of the box solutions. One is for custom solutions. So in any solution, the capabilities are same. So material, mass data upload and mass change capabilities are given by SAP. The duplicate check configuration is there. Data distribution to operation system via SOA and ALE is there. So the same functionality is there. Hierarchies are given for finance data model, and hierarchies are only given for finance data model initially, and then hierarchies are given for material data model. Now it is also available for business data model, which is only 9.0. So for any custom objects, you have a framework for data modeling, you have a framework for UI modeling, you have a framework for validation, you have a framework for distribution of custom defined master data. So most of the job would be done automatically by the frameworks. I would say in MDG, you would require 70% configurations and 30% development coding. So this is the data that is delivered as an out of the box for standard domains. So in finance, you have accounting, controlling, and consolidation category master data, which includes GL accounts, chart of accounts, financial structures reporting like balance sheet statement, profit and loss statements, cost elements, and with respective hierarchies, cost center, profit center, company codes. When you have consolidation, items, group, hierarchies, breakdown, category, units, and so on. In materials, you have basic classifications data, logistics data, and valuation data. Now in business partner, so you have, again, these are something specific to business partner. So according to the business partner group, you would decide whether it is a supplier or you will decide whether it is a customer. So again, supplier has its own set of general data and the company code data. And the difference between supplier attributes and customer attributes fall under purchasing order data, sales area, and tax information. So this is only given for customer attributes, and this is only given for supplier attributes.
Karthik, can you repeat that line, please?
So this information, whatever we are seeing here, this is common for business partner, this is common for supplier, this is common for customer. If you are creating a business partner bank details and that group is related to supplier group, the business partner group is related to supplier group. Now this bank details would be automatically transferred to supplier. If you have maintained tax information, this is automatically transferred to supplier. These are something that you maintain at the business partner level, which are common for BP, which are common for supplier, which are common for customer as well. Now, apart from BP, you have supplier own attributes, you have customer own attributes. What are the own attributes of supplier and what are the own attributes of customer? These are the attributes which you do not have at BP level, but you have only at your supplier or customer level. Again, in this, purchase data is something specific to supplier only, and the sales area and tax indicators are something specific to customers only. Again, these two are common across customer and supplier attributes. So when someone asks you what is the difference between supplier and customer attributes, you need to say most of the data is same, but you only have purchase data for supplier and you have sales area data for customer. That makes a difference.
Okay.
And again, guys, this would be again interview question that you would come across. If you claim yourself as a BP, you worked in a BP data model, then they will ask you, did you work on business partner or do you work on supplier or do you work on customer? You can say I only worked on business partner, no supplier and no customer, only BP, individual independent BP. You can also say I worked on only BP supplier or BP customer. So then they'll ask what is the difference. So purchase data is for supplier, sales area data is for customer. So we have discussed this. This is how the end user interface will look like, which is HTML based user interface. An URL will be given to a user. By using that URL, user will log on to MDG system to request the data. This is something known as a work center. And these UIs are fully aware of the business context. These UI are smart enough to understand what are the value helps that has to be provided. It will automatically take the data dictionary reference that you have created in the ACC. No requirement to provide any additional set of logic for that. And there is a concept of automatic checks in ACC. Anyone would like to tell what are those? Or validations on a screen fields? Anyone would like to tell?
So, I think there is the checks related to the data which we are creating in the ACC.
Yes.
Okay, so I think these are the configuration that we set whenever we are creating a data. Then what are the mandatory fields, and if we are entering a field, then what should be the value that we can populate in those fields? Is it related to that?
Yes. I mean, it is part of that. It is only one out of four scenarios. So technically, I mean, if you guys have worked on module pool or extensively worked on ECC, there are some checks which will automatically carried out based on the data type. That means in date field you can only enter date related value. You cannot enter time or any character values. Data type checks. It will automatically provide an F4 help as a calendar, fiscal year calendar that you get. One category of check. Second check, fixed values, which are maintained at a domain level. Maybe yes or no has only two values. Gender, male, female, and transgender, three values. Apart from that, you cannot enter any other value. Fixed value checks. And there is one more check called check table validations. Like say you have maintained the list of currencies that are possible in your business. I can only enter the currencies which are possible in the table that you have configured. Apart from that, I cannot enter any other currency. That table is something called check table. Or a list of countries that you have configured. I can only enter those countries. Apart from that, I cannot give any other value. This is something check table validations. List of organization configurations. And mandatory check configurations. This is purely an ECC tool. If a material screen, if you are navigating to MM01 screen, there is a concept of managing the MM01 transaction with the field groups. T130F is a table for that. Basically, you have a field group, and for the field group, you will assign list of fields, and each field you will assign whether it is read only, or it is mandatory, or it is input output. This kind of a field properties that you will enable for the field. And for BP transaction, you have something called BDT, business data toolset, is a additional configuration that happens on BP data model. Here also you will assign the field groups for the business partner fields. So MDG will automatically go and read these configurations which you have maintained as a standard in ECC and automatically make the fields property field behavior similar to your standard configurations in your ECC. So that's how it is fully aware of the context, what a field has to do, how the field is supposed to be displayed. If you change the language, it will automatically translate. Again, this is a part of your ECC functionality. Apart from that, you do also have some badges which are specific to MDG. Yeah.
Karthik? Yeah, you said that MDG will pull all the configuration from ECC, right?
Right.
So those check table validation and fix those check I mean like the list linked to a field, it will pull those validation as well.
Yes, it will pull those violations as well.
And if we need additional, we can add it in MDG.
Right, we can add it in MDG. Okay. And you do also have a specific badges in MDG where you can add a validation which is only in MDG. Not that will anyways not impact in your ECC. It will only apply to your MDG configurations. Again, for that validations derivations, there is something called, you can do that in BRF or you can do that using coding. Both the ways. If it is simple, you can go with BRF. If it is based on some select queries, some lookups, then you need to go with the code. Take your company configurations into account. So this is what I was saying. The company code the company configurations which are part of your check tables. So the data flow and replication of MDG, as we discussed, the data between if the requester sent a data, the data should be not available for the business transactions which happen in your ECC. So there should be some area which has to hold this kind of an unapproved data. All this data is unapproved. Which is in a process of approval. Maybe first level of validation, second level of validation, initial level of approval, second level of approval, final level of approval. It purely depends on the business configurations. So till it is unapproved, till it is approved, the data has to be stored in some area. That area is called as staging area. What data it will hold? It will hold unapproved data or inactive data. The moment the data is activated, this data is known as active data or approved data. So this kind of a data is different. This can be used by our transactional applications. Let's say you have created a customer, then you can raise an order to that customer. You can do financial settlements to that customer. The data is active. You can deal in your business transactions. So obviously the area that it has to go and sit in a database is something different. For that, MDG offers an active area. The active area is responsible to hold active data, and staging area is responsible to hold unapproved data. So here unapproved data is staged. Coming back to definitions. What is staging? Inactive data that is not yet approved and currently in MDG change request. The data is not accessible outside of MDG. This is purely specific to MDG. This staging area is MDG staging area. Active area. Active data that has already been approved and the data is ready to be used by the applications and can be distributed to other systems. Now this active area is specific to ECC, like say MARA BUT000, because the moment that it got activated, it will come and sit in ECC tables. Again, there is a if class here. We'll discuss that later on. And other relevant tables. Now this data is ready to be used by the applications. Now, a data replication. The moment you activate the data, it can, after activation, you can set a parameter like this. It will automatically replicate the data. You have certain filters which will control what data has to be passed, to which system it has to be passed. There is a concept called mapping, key mapping. If my material is called as ABCD in my operational system, but in MDG system, if the same material is known as maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, the key of the material here in my operational system is different to the key that I have in my ECC system. This is very, very, very complicated scenario. Generally, we do not have this. Generally, there was a scenario where we have done a POC on this, and since the things are getting so much of complicated, even customer did not willing to implement this solution with key mappings. Instead, they have created new number range, which have a synchronization between the keys, whatever you have in your ECC, the same keys that you'll have in your MDG. And here, the replication will also support monitoring and error handling. So, the moment that you replicated the master data, you will see which specific change request is picked up, to which system it has been sent, and what is the mode of communication. Is it the SOVA or ILE or IDOC or ALE IDOC or RFC or file transfer. What is the mode, and what is the status of the replication? You will see all these things as part of a replication monitoring activities. Any questions so far? Yes, no?
No.
Okay. So now we'll jump into let me take up tomorrow deployment options. Yeah. Coming to futures. These are, I mean, this specific deck explains the futures and the top 10 highlights of MDG we have in our solution. So one of the best feature is out of the box solution, which delivers inbuilt solution. The moment that you activate some business functions BCZ, the solution is ready. You do not require to do any configuration. The solution is ready. So that is for material, supplier, customer, business partner, and finance, which includes ready to be used interfaces, which includes ready to be used validations and workflows. In addition, the replication and integration part is delivered as well. So for replication, it also provides a general templates. When I say general or an ideal templates. So the moment you activate a business function, for integration and replications, it actually, by understanding, by discussing with the various customers of SAP, they have come across with one ideal version of configurations, which is for replication and integration. That configurations would get activated when you activate your business functions, and accordingly those configurations you can just go and modify. So in replication, what happens generally, this will not be given by SAP, because the replication requires what is my source system and what is my target system. Each client has a different naming conventions for that, which SAP cannot predict and cannot deliver. That's why it is left for a customer configuration. Similarly, integration. They don't know what kind of a third-party bureau or standard SAP solution that they will go and integrate. So they have given some ideal configurations just for taking a reference how to configure them. So those are again delivered as a part of addition feature. Flexibility for standard extensions and custom developments. You already know about this. Now, business user interface. SAP MDG main primary focus is on an end user interface. It's kind of a cockpit of everything, including the workflow, change logs, approval checks, everything in a single consolidated screen. Because MDG real focus is on business users, that having a plenty of information with segregation of tab strip blocks will give you a better visibility for the requesters or the approval to take the decisions. The screens are built in a way that users is able to find the information at the right place. Special feature like road maps, traffic lights, printing, PDF generation, exporting the list to Excel, and graphical charts will provide an additional insights for the requester and the validator to perform the related actions. So this is how it look like. You have here an option to generate a PDF. Automatically it generates the PDF of the data what you have over here. The basic data whatever you are seeing here, the set of data is automatically generated as a PDF. It's an inbuilt feature. And you have notes, you have attachment which is specific to change request. Looking at this information, a requester a requester can add supporting attachments to the change request. Why he is raising a change request? If you don't have attachment but he has some comments that he can mention over in that notes tab. These are specific to MDG. These will not flow to your ECC. Change documents. This is purely a concept of ECC. The same concept is driven in your MDG as well. What is a change document basically? Someone would like to answer? What is change document? Anyone? Guys, are there?
Change document records the changes that we are doing in any data in a transaction. So
Right.
we maintain, whenever we make a change, we maintain a log that whatever data we were maintaining earlier in that field and whatever new data we'll maintain, we'll create a log for that.
Exactly. So basically at a field level, at a table level, at table field level, what is an old value for this? And what is the new value for this? And this is on what date? Time, on which time, and by whom the data being changed is something called as a change document, which gives you an insight of which user has changed which field and what was the old value to new value and what is the timestamp for that. This is a normal behavior which happens in your ECC. So the same functionality is also driven to your MDG. At MDG level, you can also see what is an old value of a specific change request and what is a new value of a specific change request. In SAP MDG, we'll add or modify the attributes of master data objects in a governed way. Later on, business users might want to know who changed which attribute and how they are changed. These questions can be fully answered in SAP MDG with the change documents feature. Instead of going to a different user interface or into a different technical logs, the feature is available for the business users directly in the user interface. Do not require to navigate to any technical logs, any tables. So this functionality is available on a end user interface itself. The change documents will work on specifically on MDG objects. These are not specific to your ECC. It is MDG objects. It will also support the custom developments. If you have included your custom attribute or a custom entity, the only thing that we need to make sure is the field is allowed for the logs, change logs. At a data element level, you have an option to enable the change logs. If you just check that, MDG framework will automatically consider that field as a part of change logs. So this is how it will look like. username, date, time, and entity. Which entity and what is the change? It's a new change or attribute. It's a new change or it's a modification or it's a deletion. The change type will be displayed over here. Old value and new value. Since it's a new change, it does not have any old value. All the values will be new values. So inherited data dictionary configurations, data type checks, fixed values, check tables, and conversions would be automatically taken care. Out of the box validations like postal code, it requires, this is country specific configuration which you maintain in your ECC. India will have 6 characters. Japanese will have 8 characters. And social security number, ticker symbol number, they have their own configurations according to the countries. So this out of the box validation is automatically given by MDG. Integration to external services for validation. So as I said, SAP DS or SAP Information Steward or any third party agencies, you can integrate as part of a data quality function. So if you integrate with the third party function, now if you see, this is the original address given by the requester. The moment the user has clicked on this check address, it is integrating with the third party agency, and this is the validated address given by the agency. So the agency given address, original address, there is a difference. Here it says 66th, but the actual address is 6. Street information and city information is missing by the requester. This is being generated by the agency. And of course the region is Newark. Newark is seen. But postal code they have maintained as Newark, which is wrong. So for the Newark, what is the postal code is given by agency. And country is US. Now this is the specialist choice, whether to select the validated address or use the original address. Accordingly, the data would get saved in the staging tables. As we said, the postal key, if user has entered 6 characters, but if a country has a demand of only 5 characters, postal code must have length called 5. Is something proposed by MDG.
Karthik, can we select this validated address and original address thing at the field level, or once we select the data, then it will auto-populate all other fields as well?
All other fields. It is not at a field level. It is an entity level. Yeah.
Okay.
Material classification and hierarchy maintenance. So in hierarchy, I mean, first of all, material classifications deal with a class type, and each class of material has its set of configurations. So accordingly, whatever the material class configurations that you maintain, those would get automatically proposed in other field values. If you select this material class, the other values will automatically be derived. In hierarchy maintenance, what is a hierarchy basically? You have a parent node and you have a child node. And how a child is being a part of parent, because there is some common information which is same between the parent and child. if you are creating a child relationship with a parent, so you have a, maybe I'll pick up parent business partner. If I'm creating a child BP under parent BP, at least my address information should be same. I should belongs to a same country, right? So all the information what is there at a BP level would automatically carry forward to the child configurations. It is something like you create a sales order, and from order to, if you create a delivery, most of the information is automatically driven by the sales order, right? And we have a control. There is a concept called copy control, which will actually tell what all fields has to be copied. Similarly, we do have parent-child kind of a relationship, which says a hierarchy maintenance. Inherits the properties. The child will always inherit the properties of a parent. That is what the feature that we have in our MDG. And we have robust data replication. In SAP MDG, you can replicate the data to client systems. For that, we have a DRF, data replication framework, which controls the distribution. So it also supports the filters to connect the individual systems. There is a concept of filter. Let's say the filter is country. If you pass US, it will only pass the information to your system. If the filter is UK, if the filter is, based on company code, according to the company code, it will only pass information to the specific systems. It supports all the flexible ways of transporting the data from SAP to non-SAP system. So here let's ignore SIF. This SIF is something not recommended by SAP, but still we can do that. SOA, simple object access, is a technology which is based on web services. This web services technology is given to communicate between two independent technologies, maybe like Java.NET. SAP.NET. So here in our case, SAP to any technology which is non-SAP. The web services is used. File transfer technique, RFC or ALE ADOCs, most often used if they are SAP and SAP. So all the possible ways that we have to replicate the data by which you can communicate with any technology, any non-SAP system that you have. So then there is no question of, is there any possibility of this? It has all the possibilities. So it has ad hoc replication is again the future. It supports automatic, manual or edition based replications. Again, this is directly exposed to the end user interface. So you have a material here, you just select that and you click on replicate. It will launch a new screen to you, and again you can run that in a simulation, only test run. If you want to apply the filters, you can apply the filters, or you don't want to apply the filters, you can skip the filters. And you have the list of systems. You can selectively choose the systems over here and replicate the data. After replicating, you have a status called replication monitoring. Maybe here you have again the button called replication status. The moment if you click on this, it will open you a pop-up where you have an additional information, the information of the the replication. So which all systems it has been replicated. Is it successfully replicated or warning or any errors? Object IDs, and what is the change request, and what is the communication channel why it got replicated? Which application log provides additional more information apart from hidden information?
Karthik, is it instant, like once you replicate from ECC, if you replicate it to the other systems, how is it like instant or would it take time or how?
It would be instant,
Okay.
synchronous process.
Hello, Karthik.
Yeah.
Yeah, for hub model, you need to replicate it, right? For other model, I mean, like if it is on the same system, the SAC and the MDG, then do you need to replicate, or it will get replicated once you approve?
So your answer is partially, your question is partially correct. For hub model, the replication has to be there mandatory. We know that. And for co-deployment model, if it is a flex mode, we have two modes. If it is a flex mode, again the DRF is mandatory, replication is mandatory. For reuse mode, it is not mandatory, not required.
So we are going to have a discussion on this flex mode and reusable mode in future,
Yes,
right? Later?
Yeah, it would be tomorrow, yes. A 1 hour discussion on hub model, co-deployment model, flex mode and reuse mode. And what all activities that you will be doing a part of this. We'll be having a discussion tomorrow.
Karthik, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So when an approver approves the record, will it be automatically replicated, or should he or she explicitly click on the replicate button?
You have an automatic option.
Oh,
You have a manual option. According to your configurations, if you configure automatically, it will automatically replicate.
okay.
Yeah. So template creation, it speeds up the process of creating a new master records. It's just like, if you are creating a business partner in a specific country or a material in a specific organization, a sales area level. So the sales area has its own set of parameters. If a material is being created in a sales area, it has a set of parameters which would be common across all the materials, right? So in that case, what generally people will do, they will create a material in the sales area, and that material would be a dummy material. Now later on, if I'm trying to request a new material in the same sales area, instead of creating all those 100 attributes, what I generally do is I copy a material from a dummy material to my latest material. So all the attributes would get copied to my actual material, from dummy material to actual material. And that actual material go for an upload process. It's like a saving some time, and which speeds up the process. It's just normal copy functionality, but for that we are giving a template. So earlier, if someone is asking me, a question like, what is the difference between the versions, right? Here, one basic difference between the versions. Till 8.0, this template functionality was only there at a material level. I could have only create a material as a template functionality. Now in 9.0, they have introduced it organization level. So this specific block was not available. I could have created a material in a specific organization level, and that can be used as a copy functionality. So this is the difference. Again, this does not have any impact with your configurations or MDG framework at all. The difference, here, this kind of differences that you'll generally see between the versions.
Karthik,
Yeah.
can we select what suppose it's a plant and sales or both are there, but we want to copy only plant data, right?
Yes.
So can we
No, no,
select?
no, no, no. Only plant data we cannot copy. We will
We have to
copy
copy.
entire, yeah, we will copy entire material data which belongs to this plant, sales organ, distribution channel.
So whatever material you're copying, everything will be copied, irrespective of what it is
Everything,
there. Then you can update.
everything, right.
Okay.
You have mass maintenance. So let's say you would require to change the payment terms of a business partner. Not for a one business partner. You have maybe 100 business partners, which requires the payment term to be changed from 01 to 05. This is an existing value. This is the new value. If you want to change a specific attribute in a mass to multiple business partner, there is a functionality called mass maintenance, which basically allows you to change a set of attributes same across all the business partners. So here SAP MDG supports mass processing. Mass processing in MDG is used for processing multiple selected objects of the same entity type in one step. During one transaction, the same changes are applied to this selection. Only this a change 05 will apply for all 100 business partners.
Karthik, could
You
you
can,
please repeat that? Sorry, I lost you there. Could you repeat that?
yeah. So if I want to change a payment transactions of a list of customers or business partners. So first of all, I need to identify the list of business partners. So there would be a selection which will happen. Selection of business partners. And second step, which entity of a business partner I'm supposed to change. Payment transactions. And then which attribute? Payment term is an attribute. Now, this specific selection has a different payment term set completely. So maybe one has, let me take you an example. So this specific selection has these values. My selection result given me this result. According to some criteria, a selection query given me this result. As a part of mass maintenance, I want to change the payment term, whatever the value that I have, for the list of partners, whatever the selection has been resulted in. I want to change the payment terms value as A. Now this value will apply for all the partners which are part of my selection and which is being considered as a mass change. A specific attribute which is being changed for multiple business partner. And this will go for an approval. Finally, if it is approved, all the business partner payment terms will have a value called A.
Okay, it can be done one field at a time, or it can have multiple fields. Like you have payment term, you have some other field you want to update.
You can have multiple fields. Just a moment. Or sorry, I did not try with multiple fields. I'll just come back to you on that.
Okay, and just one more thing, because you said the value has to be same for all, right?
Yes, value has to be same.
So is there an option where you can update different values for different
No. That is not
and is there an
functionality of this.
Okay, is there an option to enhance it to do that?
I think enhancement. See, if you ask me enhancement, you can enhance anything in SAP. Before approval process, you can enhance it definitely. But there are no standard badges provided for that enhancement. Even if there are no badges, if you want the functionality to be achieved, you can achieve that.
Okay.
But that is not the process of this thing. If you wanted to do the same functionality, you have different ways. But not mass maintenance. You have file upload technique.
Okay.
Yeah, you can achieve that. See, there is a requirement you to change the different attributes at a different partners, right? Different values for a specific attribute at different partners. This is what your requirement.
Right.
Ultimately, MDG has to fulfill your requirement. For that, there is a different option, but not mass maintenance. You should go through that option, but not enhancing this mass maintenance.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
So this is how it will look like. First, we define the selection based on maybe a material group or company code or whatever it is, or here if it is a material authorization group, all material or organization unit, some defined selection, and then you redefine the selection again, second level of filtering your selection criteria, and you define a field attribute, then finally you'll check and execute this. These are the high level mass change that you have. Apart from that, you also have file upload process, by which I think the earlier discussion can be achieved. If you want to achieve different, if you want to set different attribute values at the business partner level, it can be achieved with mass maintenance level. File upload technique. Analytical features for the processes.
Karthik,
Yeah.
I saw a point that multiple processes can work on the same change request. Can you provide some more information about it?
Okay. So multiple processes. Who are the multiple processes? So there is a role, approval role. For that role, you have different processes. Maybe some XYZ, some names. Processor means a person, a user. A role will have multiple users assigned to him. First, it will be part of all the 3 people bucket list. First, this work item, then it will automatically being deleted from the other work list, and this guy can upload it. Make sense?
Yes. Are these approvers for the same thing, or they are going? They have approval authority for different type of data, like general data and
No.
That
It's not like general data entity level. It is at the complete object level.
okay.
Yeah. They will approve a change request. Now, no matter if the change request has 100 business partner or one business partner.
Okay.
But for one business partner general data, I'll go with an approval. No, that's not the case.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
So
Karthik, just a question. When multiple process or multiple approvers are there and they are going parallelly, will they see all the data or can we restrict it based on
no,
each user should
all
see suppose
the
go ahead.
persons can see the data.
All the data. I mean, like
All the data.
suppose someone should approve only needs to validate only sales or data. He will be able to see the company code level data. Is it?
He will be able to see that company code level data.
Okay.
But you can control that. If you want to control that, you can control that at an UABB level.
Okay. Okay.
That authorization specific functionality is also there.
Okay.
So MDG allows you to analyze the processing times and the status of the change request. This involves monitoring of the business activities, tracking the compliance with the SLAs, optimization process, and turning insights into action. For data models and the change request types, you can identify what is an average processing time of a specific type of change request. Average processing time. So let's say if some requester is being raised a change request, looking at this analytics, you can forecast this is what my average processing time which will get approved. A total change request of a certain frame in a certain period, maybe in a certain quarter or in a week, how many change requests are being approved? The change request which the SLA is breached, which breaches the SLA time. And the change request which does not define any KPI standards, which are exceeded the due dates. This is how it will look like. You can select the list of change requests which are with high priority or low priority, or on what scale, weekly or monthly or daily scale, or maybe between which year. The graphical charts with the different color codings will provide you a different insights about the change request. So the red color one provides SLA volatile, or the orange one due date, green one on time, no KPI defined. By this, you can understand if a business partner is being, there is also a feature called, there is something called pie charts where you can have different, that I'll show you in a screen tomorrow. What are the data that has been, how much amount of data which has into replication failure? Why certain kind of materials are getting out, most often getting a replication failure? Looking at that, they can understand there are maybe data quality functions has to be, enriched. The data quality functions are not working as expected. That's why it is getting failure. This kind of an additional insights of set over a period of time with respective time will give you an additional information for the business or stakeholders to take respective actions on the business processes. And here this analytical feature is a not completely MDG functionality. The UI what you are seeing is from MDG, but the background process which happens, this calculations, is completely through BI, SAP BI. MDG interacts with BI, then it provides this kind of an information. So if you want to enable the specific functionality, you should also sit with the BI guy. This is, I mean, we obviously know by this time, it's flexible to extend the standard deliver data model and the user interfaces. And it also includes the data modeling, AI modeling, process modeling, and replications. The extensibility can be done in any point of time, at any configurations in MDG. So this is what it is all about. I think by this time we should be, aware of what MDG is doing. How it is doing is something we need to start. Any questions?
Mm. So, this topic, here it is mentioned that it includes data modeling, UI modeling, process modeling. Are we going to work on all of these?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then. I think if we do not have any questions, by the way, today do we have any new participants? If not, people can just skip it. Yeah. Thanks for your time. Let's connect tomorrow.
Thank you, Karthik.
And request to not miss tomorrow's session, which is very important, or else you'll get into trouble again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Karthik.
Yeah. Hi, Jyotirmay. Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Karthik.
Good morning, guys. Okay. So in the last session, I think we have discussed about various features which are available in MDG, and we have hold the topic called deployment options and the architecture principles. Right? We discussed the architecture and work centers, roles, change request, the types of workflows, how the data would be saved in staging areas, how it will go for an approval process or the replication process, what is active area, what is inactive area, what is active data, what is inactive data, and what is reuse mode, what is flex mode. Right? Now, I think at a higher level, we just discussed that what is a flex mode and reuse mode. Now we'll actually do a deep dive into deployment options. So there is a concept called co-deployment and hub deployment. What is this basically? If your MDG system is installed on your operational ECC system, this is your operational ECC system. On this operational ECC system, if you install MDG, then this would be known as a co-deployment option. Else, if your operational instance is different, operational instance is different, and your SAP MDG instance is different. These two things are different. MDG is not sitting on your actual production system, but it is installed as a different instance. This is called hub deployment. But now let's understand why there are two deployment options and how a flex mode and reuse mode are will be working in a various deployment options. So for that,
Karthik, Vikesh here.
hi. Yeah. So let's understand this is an ECC instance. what all would have generally in ECC system? The first one would be organization specific data. What will come under org specific? Like you define sales area, you define company codes, you define currencies, you define exchange rates, countries, and so on, which is specific to your operations which you do in your production system, right? This is the first activity. The moment that you install your system, this is the first activity anyone else will do. And after this thing, there would be a second activity, creation of master data. And third activity would be creation of transaction data, right? So based on organization specific data, we would create a master data. And once the master data is available, we'll create a transaction data which specific to org specific and master data. Are we clear with this understandings? Now here what would become a master data? And so on. And what is the transaction data? Maybe creating a sales order, purchase order, doing the financial settlements. And so on, right? This is what happens in a ECC operational system. Now, let's understand how SAP has come up with a solution. And now there is a requirement from the customers saying, I want to govern my master data. There is a need to govern my master data. How do you do that? So for that, the first most important thing is, without disturbing the existing business process which happens in my operational system, I would try to build a solution, right? Let's think how SAP has initially understand the requirement and how it has come up with a solution. I'm just talking from the SAP point of view as of now. If someone asks SAP to build a solution, the first most thing that SAP will try to do is, first thing it will look like the current existing system is not being impacted. So if that is the case, they should build a new system for that. MDG system, and without impacting the operation system, MDG system has to work. So what is the motto of MDG system? It has to govern the master data. For master data, what is the prerequisite that has to be there in the system?
Organization specific structures.
Structures has to be there, right? So
Mhm.
to create org specific structures, what is a prerequisite? First of all, I should have the org specific tables in the system, right? Only if I have the tables, I can create this data. So where are the tables laying? The tables are laying in my ECC operational system, right? If my MDG system is a different instance, and if I want to move these org specific structures to MDG system, typically it is not possible because org specific structures can only be created in ECC system, right? So that's why what SAP thought is to create MDG system, they are saying you should be having an ECC system as a core base. Only then you can install MDG system. Okay. When you say MDG system, it is not only MDG, but it also have ECC system. That is why even if you look at the architecture level, SAP ERP 6.0, ECC 6.0 becomes a mandatory thing. That is how it become a mandatory. Clear? Now, the moment we have MDG system and ECC system, what is the first activity we do? As we said, we need to move the org specific structures. What are the ways of doing org specific structures? One is BC sets, or the second possible way is transports. This is very really important as to understand this concept. Let's say if someone has introduced new company code or new sales area in your operational system, that configuration should be moved to your MDG ECC system. Okay. The ways that you can move the structures using BC sets or the transports, any option that you can pick it up according to your client usage, how they're actually
What is
moving it.
basis set, Karthik?
So BC set is something, whatever we are doing a changes in SPRO node, those changes can be recorded in a flat file. That flat file is nothing but a BC set file. I'll show you that.
Okay.
So again, a BC set can be recorded in a transport, and you transport the BC set, it will just automatically activate the SPRO functions. So generally in rollout projects, so most of the configurations would be common across all the countries, right? There are only specific configurations which are meant for different countries. So
Right.
the common configurations would be recorded in a BC set file. And that BC set file would be given, I mean, it can be downloaded into your local desktop and you can share that file to anyone. Is the one way. So if you see, this is the existing BC set. The data model is activated through BC sets here. It has a BC set. Activated BC sets. There's the BC set ID, which is activated in the system. Let me open it up how it will look like. So this is the data model BC set, which is given for flight model. Okay. It, if you see, it has a table view, and it will record all the entries that are part of the table view. There's S flight data model, active area. These are all entities which are part of my data model. These are attributes which are part of each entity.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have an option to activate it. The moment that you activate the BC set, it will save all the records into this corresponding tables. This is the BC set IMG structure.
And how will you import that file, the flat file?
Okay. Just a moment, I'll show it. It is busy. If you see here an option, there are two options: file download and file input and file export.
Okay.
Here, this is how you select as. So this is the .bcs extension. If you have a file over here, you can just select it, open it. That's how it works. And this is something you can download a BC set.
Okay.
Yeah. This is how it will look like. Yeah. Or the BC sets can also be included in a transport. A transport, if you just move the transport, it will carry the BC set recordings as well. And this is the IMG path. So when you open a BC set file, it will show you this is the IMG path that I have recorded the entries which are specific to this node. System automatically shows it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Karthik, what is the format of these BC sets?
A file extension
Yeah.
.bcs. You cannot see the data. You cannot see the values actually in the file. So that should require a BC set editor, and that editor is something that this one. You cannot actually see the content in a file.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Now the moment I have my org structures in the system, now I can create a master record in my MDG system. Now let's understand the solution is initially meant for only finance data model, because the requirement is came for SAP for initially for only finance model, and that is how they have initially generated, delivered the MDG system. Most of the MDG, what do you say, the core APIs, the abstract APIs of MDG will still have a naming convention, MDGF. The reason behind that is it is delivered for finance data model initially, and then they have eventually added the data models. Now there is a requirement to create a cost center. Okay, so now all the values are there. So MDG has generated the staging tables and everything is working fine. Now, so the requester created the cost center and it went for final level approval. Final level approval is completed. Now, what should happen? So there are staging tables in MDG. The data is available in the staging table before approval. And on final level approval, the data should get moved from my MDG system to ECC system, right? Now, to move the data from MDG staging table to ECC system, at this particular context, what SAP has come across is move the image of transfer the image of data. Mhm. So what we are saying is after final level of approval is completed, just a moment. Yeah. Yeah. So what we are saying is after final level of approval, the data in staging table will not be deleted, but the data would be moved to my ECC. So how will be the data moved? It will move from MDG staging tables to ECC tables. How it will move? It will move using DRF, data replication framework. The data from my staging table will move to my ECC tables through data replication framework. And now, if user is trying to change the cost center which he has created now, so the same cost center, maybe I'll take a name as CCTR1. User is trying to change the cost center one. So from where do he get the data? Active data. So to change the data, he should actually require to know what is the current existing data, right? Only then he can do the changes. The delta changes he can basically identify. Even if you look at the standard write change documents, so which is change logs, which actually records the change logs, it requires the reference of existing record and it requires a reference of new record, old record and new record. Only then it will identify the delta, right, in ECC system. So similarly, to understand MDG, it should require an active version and inactive version, both. So what is the best way to get the active data in this specific context? The active data is already available in my staging table. So I don't require any RFC call to go to my ECC system and get the active data, right? The active data is already available in my staging table. Agree?
Yeah.
What if something has changed in ECC,
It will never
the
happen.
operational system?
No, it will never happen.
And
The
there are
moment,
sometimes third party, right? They update data, master data as well.
no, they do not. They should not. And it's a design issue in that case. Ideally, if you implement MDG system, the access to change the master data in the operational system would be it would have a hard restriction. No one will have a user access for the transaction access. If any IDOCs, if any interfaces are directly trying to change the master data in ECC, you should not allow them. You should implement an additional logic that the interface should come and talk with MDG, but not directly with your ECC operational system. If someone is directly changing it, then the whole point of implementing MDG system is getting violated, right? That's not the point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not pulling the data from ECC operation. It will only send the data to ECC operation.
right. So it's only one direction, right?
Okay.
So in change scenario, you always have the active data in staging table. So accordingly, it will go and again, if it's a change scenario, it will go for final level approval. Now the delta changes would be again updated to staging table, and the data replication framework will push the data to ECC system.
Karthik, just a question. You are saying a staging table will have all the active data, right?
Active and inactive both, yes.
So it will have data related to the change request, or it will have. Okay, so it will have a copy of exact master data that is already in ECC operation. The same is there in staging tables, right?
Right. It will have the exact
Okay.
copy of
I
that.
think when you will show the structure, when you show the structure, I think we can understand how does that happen.
Right. So theoretical ways, let's understand now. We'll understand that later. And do you find any problem over here? Now, what we are saying, if we are creating a new record, your staging table is in sync with your ECC system, right? And the change scenario for the same cost center is, since if I'm trying to change the cost center CCTR1 in MDG system, I always have a reference in staging table. What is an earlier cost center which is available, right?
Yes.
Earlier, there is a reference of the cost center in staging table so that I can compare the changes. Now, what if I have introduced MDG system in middle of my operational system? Operational system is already there. Now I am installing MDG system. Now what should happen to the existing cost centers? So there are few existing cost centers. Now this existing cost center, I want to change it through MDG. Somehow it is already there in the business. Now I want to govern the process of changing the cost centers. Now, do you think the cost center is available in staging table? No, right? It was not
No.
created. It was not created by MDG earlier. So there is no reference of this cost center in my MDG system. So my change scenario will get failed, right? Agree?
Y- Yes, it won't have anything to compare with.
Right. So to handle this kind of a scenario, the second activity what we do is initial upload. This activity we do to sync this activity we do to sync MDG staging table with ECC data. So whatever the cost centers that I have, all the cost center first I'll do the data upload activity into MDG system. This is the very important part. It's a prerequisite.
You will upload it to the MDG system or the ECC on which MDG has been installed. I mean the
No,
ECC system, right? You mean?
no. It is to MDG system only.
Okay.
Because here no point of dealing with ECC. ECC is only specific for my org structures. So okay, let me split it. This activity would happen over here. Yeah. Clear? Why do we do this activity?
Yes.
Now, again, here there is a problem. Here, if I do initial upload activities, it should obviously go for an approval. The moment it approves, what should happen? What will happen?
It will try to replicate it again
Okay.
with the
So what
operational process.
happens? What happens in
That
operational
will
system?
it will give you error because it's already there.
Exactly.
Duplicate.
So right, a duplicate. It will throw a dump or maybe some error. Right. So for this initial load activities, we know that the data is already available in ECC. So for this initial load, the data replication will not happen. We should make sure the data replication should not happen. So DRF will not be configured for initial upload activities. There is no DRF for this. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So by this, we would be able to handle the existing cost centers which are there in your ECC operational systems and the new cost centers that you have created from MDG systems. So you can govern any kind of master data. Are we clear with this understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So if we say yes, now the points that we are trying to focus over here is if your MDG system and ECC system is installed differently to your ECC operational system, then that is called as a hub deployment option. We are talking about MDG system hub deployment.
Yeah.
And if the active data is saved in my staging tables, the active data is saved in my staging tables, and my data replication to my ECC system is happening through DRF, is known as a flex mode. Let's go back to the definition. If you see here, what is the flex mode? Tables as defined in MDG data model are used to store active data. Active data would be stored in my MDG staging tables. That is known as flex mode. Okay. And since my MDG is installed as a different instance to ECC, it's a hub model. These two things are different, guys. Should not mix the things. Storage mode is different. Deployment option is different. There's a thin line between that. Clear?
Yeah, is there an option? Is it possible to use mode storage in code deployment? Can someone do it?
Yes, yes, there is an option. We'll discuss now. We have all the possible combinations.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if we are clear with this, then let's go back. It's a hub model flex mode. Now I'll take the same scenario and discuss hub model reuse mode. So in hub model reuse, the communication between MDG and ECC happens through a access, sorry, hub model. The communication between MDG and ECC happens through an access class, but first of all, we'll understand what is a reuse model. Let's come to that point. So if we are discussing about MDG system hub model reuse mode, the main difference between flex mode and reuse mode lies with the staging table. It is not transfer the image of active data, it is move the active data. move the active data from MDG staging tables to ECC tables. It is not an image. How will it move? It will move through access class. Okay. Now let's understand this point. In MDG hub deployment, whatever the master data I have in my ECC operational system, all that master data should be loaded into my ECC MDG system here as an initial load. But this is only moving the data from my ECC operational system to my ECC MDG system. This can happen with some BODS implementation or some transportation moves. However the client feels to move that, they will be moving the data. It's just a similar structure of tables, ECC table and MDG ECC system table. The structures are same, the tables are same. You just need to move the data from my operational system to ECC system. Is something you have to perform, right? This activity would be performed by the, as I said, the BODS guys or Informatica guys. So first of all, the data has to be available in the system. This will be part of a data migration project. Okay.
This
Now,
step even happens in the flex mode, right? Initial
but
load.
in the flex mode, we will do the initial load activity in MDG system to MDG structures.
Okay.
If you remember, to sync MDG system table with ECC data, this activity would be done by MDG users.
Okay.
We will do this activity. But here, we are doing the initial load into my ECC system.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how will the data move? The data will be moved from my staging table to ECC table through access class. And this access class is responsible to perform all CRUD operations. Create, read, update, and delete. Okay. It will create the record, it will read the record, it will update the record, it will delete the record. It has all the possible operations. So here, let's understand this way. Now here I'm requesting to create a business partner. Since it's the reuse mode, I'll pick up BP. where 00 113 112 is a business partner. Now this fellow is business partner went for an approval. After approval, the data is deleted from my staging table and it is updated through my MDG ECC system. So it will get updated to my MDG ECC system. How? Through access class. This is an access class. Using this access class, the data will be moved from my MDG staging tables to my ECC tables. Okay. Now, where is the data available now?
ISIS system.
Of what?
The MDG system.
MDG is a system of
MDG ECC. Right. So this data can be used for my transactions in operational system?
No.
No, right?
no.
So again, there would be a second step where you need to move the data from your ECC system to your ECC operational system. This can happen through many ways. It can happen through idocs, it can happen through, BAPIS, however you call it, you move the data. So generally, people will do idocs. This is the first step in your process. To move the data from your MDG staging table to ECC system of MDG instance. And then this is the second step. Okay.
Okay.
Clear with the process?
Yes.
Okay. Now, user wants to change the business partner 112. Now, what would happen? The reference of 112 is not available in staging table, right? It's got deleted.
Yeah.
So here we have an option to read the data, CRUD operations. In earlier flex mode, it is only one direction, only pushing the data from MDG staging table to ECC. Do not require read activity. But in reuse mode, we require to read the data from my ECC system. So again, access class acts as an interface and it will read the data and it will put the data, active data in staging tables. That's why you're required all, apart from create, update and delete, you also require read activity in reuse mode. So from where the active data would be read using access class, taking a source of which ECC system?
From the MDG ECC system.
Exactly. This is all about MDG hub deployment reuse mode.
Okay. Karthik, just a question. When previously when I asked if there is some third party tool, right? Sometimes there are third party tools users are using to update or create master data. You said that is one of the requirement prerequisite that you cannot talk to the ECC operational directly. And they
Right.
cannot. They have to
Right.
talk to MDG system, right?
Right.
And in this scenario, I think they don't need to talk to MDG. They can do the ECC system. I mean, they have to change the upload the data from the third party to ECC system. ECC system of the MDG, not the operational one, right?
No, still they cannot. No, the reason, let's say there is a business partner 112 which is already created, Okay. Now there is a change scenario for this. So the CR type is change CR type is initiated for this, for the same business partner.
Right.
Now I'm saying it will take 3 days of approval time for this.
Right.
It takes 3 days. But the moment when the change request is initiated, it took the active data reference from my ECC system and it got updated in my staging table, right?
Right. Right.
And in the meanwhile, in 3 days, now some third party is coming and changing the data in my ECC system.
Mhm.
Now,
Okay.
what is the active data available in my staging table is different to the data available in my ECC system, right?
Right. Right.
Now, should MDG update the records in ECC or not?
Now that will be a confusing one because it can overwrite the data updated by the third party,
Or
and or
or it should throw
it
an
will
error.
not. Yeah, throw an error. Right.
So yes, so there is a possibility of these two things. So it's up to an MDG consultation, which one has to be. I'm not an MDG consultation, a process lead decision, what should happen. Because this is the valid scenario, it generally happens. Not only in hub deployment or in normal ECC system. So I think yesterday, just now I think one of our friend asked, what will happen if someone will change the data in ECC operational system? There would be few
Yeah.
cases where a super user will come and change the data in your ECC system because he has a super user, he will have that access. But he'll generally not go and change the data just for a simple reason, right? He changes the data because there is a valid reason. Now, if the data is changed by the super user and your MDG is trying to push the record which overrides the changes done by the super user, do you think it's a valid case?
No,
No.
actually.
The user will come and ask, why did you do the changes to the record changes which I have done? Why did you override the changes? There is a business reason I changed that. Now your changes are overwriting my requirement, right? So there would be a question from that person. So that's why this decision of overwriting or getting an error message if the delta is if changes of if the active data in MDG is different to the ECC system, the decision will be taken from the process leads. So MDG supports both options. It will override the system or it will throw an error saying there is a delta difference in the active data.
So MDG will first compare the active data before updating the staging data.
Yes. It
Okay.
compares the data.
It's a good thing.
And we have
Okay.
two processes for that. You know, which process you configure accordingly it will act.
One is to overwrite, other one is to throw an error. That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
Okay. The question when the one I asked the third party communicating with the ECC system of MDG, in that yes, if it is changing, that kind of scenario happens. I've seen it. But if it is creating, not changing any existing object, only for create, where there are scenarios where you need to create mass data and it's easy to do it through a third party. So is it okay? I mean, like how it will communicate to the ECC system, then it will be available and how that will work. That's what I just want to know.
See, this is the framework and architecture we are talking about, right? Now, when you are saying if I have a third party, then how much qualified data that your third party is sending? Is it 90-10% accurate? Is it 80-20% accurate? Or it requires really governance process to put the data into your ECC operational system? If it is
Sorry, what is the
100%
last?
qualified,
Yeah, go
no.
ahead.
So what I'm saying is, what is accurate? What is the quality of the data that your third party is sending? If it is 100% qualified, you don't require an upload process. You can directly push the data into ECC. But if you
Okay,
know that the data is not accurate, you require an upload process for that. Then you have
yes.
to integrate with your MDG system.
Okay. So suppose
So
there
your
is no
third
approval
party,
required, they can directly talk to ECC, and once the data is created, they can change the same object through MDG, right?
right? They can change it, but here you need to understand if it is a flex mode. If it is a flex mode, you cannot do this activity because If you're directly changing the records in your ECC operational system, again you need to manually do initial upload activity for the specific record to sync your MDG system with your ECC system.
Right. Right.
The point that you are talking will only apply for a reuse mode, but
Reuse mode.
not for flex mode. The best practice is always, if you don't require an approval process, still go with MDG only. The third party interface will communicate with MDG and it will go with an auto approval. In auto approval process, whatever the mode you have implemented, flex mode or reuse mode, the records will be in sync, right? If it's a flex mode, the data will be there in the staging table. If it's a reuse mode, automatically, according to the framework, access class will read the data.
Okay.
Hope you got the point.
Yeah, I did. Just one more question. How does data migration work in case of reuse mode? Suppose in an existing system, suppose that they're rolling out one new country and bringing into the global system, how will data migration work?
Okay. I mean, you mean to say how do you move the data, or what tools you'll use? I did not get it exactly.
I mean, the data migration team, they have to upload the data because it's an existing system, right? So they have to upload the data in ECC system because it's an existing data. Already existing data is there for other countries. The countries, those are already in global template. The new country which is coming, they will upload the data, right?
Right.
So where they will upload it in ECC operational, then they will upload it in ECC system, or how will it work?
Right. So first they'll upload the data. If it is a new one, first they'll upload the data into my ECC operational system, and then they will upload the data into my ECC MDG system. If it is a reuse mode, I mean, we need to tell the data migration guys. If you're implementing MDG, what kind of a reuse modes that we are talking about, flex modes that we are talking about. So if it is a flex mode, they will do whatever the mode it is, they will do this data migration in ECC operational system for sure. Now the point is, if they have to do that in ECC system, what is the need? Only the need is if it is a reuse mode. Only if you are implementing a reuse mode, then they have to migrate the data to my ECC MDG ECC system as well. If I'm implementing a flex mode, I don't require the data migration activity. We ourselves will do the data initial load activities, right? To answer your
So
question, only for finance, data
Mhm.
migration activity will be done by MDG consultants. And apart from finance, any other data model as of now which are available in the market, all the data models are implemented through reuse mode, and this requires the initial load activity to be performed in MDG ECC system. So the data migration should also do in MDG ECC system.
Okay. So in flux mode, they need to update in the operational system only, ECC operational system only, and it's MDG team's job to do the initial loading for that new country which is coming, right?
Right. So the companies with the larger data. So I have worked in a project where the project initial load, they have given a project just for initial load only. It went for 8 months. Huge master data that they had. Only for finance data model, it took 8 months of project time to load the initial, to load the data into MDG system.
It's a long run for this data load.
Yeah. So this is MDG hub reuse mode. Hope we know the difference between now hub flex mode and hub reuse mode, right?
Clear.
Any questions so far?
Karthik, which is usually preferred by clients? Is it flex mode or
Usually
reuse
they'll
mode?
not. No, this is not preferred by clients. This is delivered by SAP. If you are talking about standard data models.
Okay.
and we have to accept how it has delivered. We cannot do any changes.
Okay, so SAP
If
decides the deployment design.
no, so again you are mixing two things. Earlier you talked about mode, now we are talking about deployment option. Modes are delivered by SAP for the standard out-of-the-box solutions. You have to install and use how it has been delivered. Mode.
Okay, okay, got it.
The deployment option is something your client will decide. And taking
Okay,
a decision of a hub deployment or core deployment is not in the scope of MDG consultant.
okay,
This comes the scope between multiple departments discussion, and that would be a result of a deployment option. Your IT team will sit, your process team will sit, your MDG team sessions will be considered in that. Your legal authority board would get involved in these policies, because sending the data
yeah,
from ECC operational system, the 2-year master data, sending out it from operational system should go through some legal policies.
okay,
Sending out from the production box. So all these things would give you a result of, which deployment option that you'll go for. I worked in one of the hub deployment POC, but the moment, we are doing the POC and we are telling the client this is how it works, then and there, they said, do not go with this. It's getting more complicated.
oh, okay,
Generally 99% and 95% of the cases, people will go with the co-deployment option only.
okay,
And right now you have some custom solutions built by some companies like Utopia and some other some other companies. They are building a solutions on reuse mode only, because the flex is again getting complicated. Easier way is co-deployment. Reuse mode is the easiest way.
okay,
But finance is delivered as flex. So that's how we have to, accept this finance is in a flex mode.
okay, got it.
Karthik, can you give us an example of each combination? Like we have a hub reuse, then we must have co-deployment or other options with that. So can you give us a practical example which is actually feasible for that combination for each of them?
So yeah. So are we complete with this? Everyone is clear with this hub reuse and hub flex mode.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
next I'll go with co-deployment reuse and co-deployment flex modes.
yeah.
Karthik, would you be continuing from now? Because I thought the class was 1 hour, because I have only time for 1 hour.
Sorry,
So
sorry. Hey, sorry. Yeah, we'll take it tomorrow, guys.
yeah, thanks.
We'll take it tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Karthik.
Thank you.
Karthik, just a question. Could you please send the sheet to us? This one you have created. That's a good one.
Yeah, sure. I'll send it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karthik. Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Karthik.
I
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think just one question. If you think that we are going to have longer sessions, then can you just let us know? Like, if it is going to take 1.5 hours every day, then people can plan accordingly,
Yeah.
and nobody
Hey,
has to sleep early.
okay. So, I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, you tell me if you're comfortable for 1.5 hours, then we can plan accordingly.
Actually, for
Yeah,
now, it's just 1 hour. I'm comfortable with 1 hour because I'm doing it from my office timing. So it's a bit,
Fine.
or
Then
maybe if you start it earlier, that would be fine. But later than this, it's a bit hard for me.
So,
okay.
can we start early in that
Yeah,
case,
early is
Karthik?
fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about Karthik.
Early, I need to think of because right now I'm working in a late night projects, which is going beyond 1 and 2 every day.
Okay.
At least for this week, we'll go by 1 hour.
Yeah.
And next week, according to my, project status, I'll let you know, guys. But this
Okay.
week,
Thank you.
it's 1 hour. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Karthik.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.